Hello, good morning and welcome back to Portugal. Now you might be able to tell that we are not in our usual location this morning, and that's because we're a bit blocked on a couple of projects, and so we thought we would do something a little bit different today. Now we get a lot of questions about where we live in Portugal, why we moved here, what we like about the area, and so we thought, why don't we just show you? So this is going to be a bit of a travel video, but a travel in our local area kind of video, so we can show you where we are and what it's like to live here. And what better place to start than our closest town, which is called Sertã. You look very peaceful this morning.
It's lovely here. So we live not too far from Sertã. It's the largest kind of town that we can get to within a reasonable amount of time. So it's got banks and restaurants and pharmacies and all the things. Actually today we're going to go and try and buy some sunglasses. I think it's actually Sertã that kind of drew us to this area. It's a beautiful little town. It's got this wonderful river that runs through it. There's this massive park that's along the river, so you can go for nice walks. You can go up sort of through an old town that's with cobbled streets, and my yarn store is up there. And then there's a castle at the top. The camera building is beautiful. There's also this hotel in Sertã that also is an old, I think it's a monastery?
Old convent.
Old convent that's been converted and done so tastefully. And the whole area here is just really pretty. Lots of trees, lots of nature, lots of rolling hills, and not too many people, which was a big thing for us, to get away from the hustle and bustle and to slow down. And that's really what kind of this area for us epitomizes. It's slowing down, enjoying life a bit more.
So we're just going to go for a bit of a walk around and we'll show you some of the highlights. So there we go, that was a bit of a walk around our local town of Sertã, which is right in the middle of the country, north to south, east to west, pretty much in the middle of the country. We're about 20 kilometers north of the actual geographic center, and that is where we're going to go next, because there's some amazing views of the whole landscape from there. So, welcome to the centre of Portugal. This is literally right slap bang in the middle of the country. It doesn't get much more central than this. And from up here, there are just some amazing views. You can see pretty much full 360, all the small towns, all the villages, all the pine forests, eucalyptus, all the hills and mountains. It is so quiet and so peaceful. There is just so much nature all around. We don't get out into it as much as we should, but when we do take some time like this and go and visit some of these places, we're just reminded of why we came to live here. The views are incredible. There's not that much stuff. There's not masses of amenities. There's everything that you need, but it's really quiet. It's kind of almost untouched in some parts. There is also a lot of industry and a lot of forestry. There's something about it. It's just very calming. And I don't even know how to describe it. It just feels like a wonderful place to be.
And on some of the other videos we've done, people have said, where are all the people and why are there no cars on the road? Because there's no people here. I mean, Portugal has something like 13 million people, residents. The interior is so sparsely populated, other than the small towns, and we don't live in a town, we live out in a tiny little village which has maybe 20 houses. There's just not a lot of people on the road. There's not a lot of people anywhere. And that suits us down to the ground. I mean, we love it.
Yeah, you may even have seen it on the road as we drove down. We were driving on a famous road, the N2. It goes all the way north to south, up and down the country, all the way from the north of Portugal. I can't remember the name of the town up there. Maybe, is it Braga? I don't know. You can look it up if you want. I will be corrected with my small piece of text here. But yeah, all the way from up in the north to all the way down south to Faro, maybe? The motorbikes love the road because it's kind of really up and down and twisty and turny, but it is dead quiet most of the time, even though it's a main route up and down the country.
The N2 is Portugal's longest road, which I also did not know.
Facts.
Also called the National 2. It runs from Chaves, which is just below the northern boundary of the country with Spain, and all the way down to Faro on the south coast.
Okay, I got 50% right.
Yeah.
So when people ask, where do you live in Portugal, what's it like? I think this destination sums it up. We are right in the middle of the country, and it's just wonderfully quiet and peaceful.
And one of the things that we didn't realise at the time is the only downside of all of this is there's not as much variety for shops, restaurants, all of that kind of stuff. But we're more than willing to get in the car now and drive for an hour to do that and make a day trip of it, because we get all of this every other day.
But speaking of amenities and food and stuff like that, I think it is time for lunch. And we found a little local traditional restaurant in the nearby town of Vila de Rei, and we're going to go there and see what we can find. And I'm hoping that this is going to be like quintessential interior Portuguese food, so we can show you what that's like too.
That's a nice looking house.
Yeah. Have you seen the stonework? It's amazing.
I don't know that these are original. Just saying.
Are you ready for some lunch?
Yes, hungry.
Some traditional Portuguese fare.
Yeah, so when we did the Nazare video, we got loads of comments about how there was nothing traditional that we ate. And I think that is because when you live in the interior, all you eat is traditional. There is no sushi, there is no fine dining, there is nothing...
Well, no, it's not
No,
none.
there is, but it's very different to what you get on the coast. So when we went to the coast, we were like all in on all the things that we can't eat in the interior. But today, this is a traditional restaurant.
We
so
think.
you get to see, yeah, we had a quick look at the menu and it looks like what we're used to. So we'll show you some of the types of foods on offer when you go to a traditional restaurant.
And as always, I'm very hungry. So let's get to eating. Well, I feel suitably satisfied for now, but that was very much our traditional Portuguese kind of meal, although we don't normally go out for lunch and have 3 courses and wine, and a nice surprise with the muscatel at the end. But it was a very typical meal, very tasty, but very simple. One thing that was a big surprise for us when we came to Portugal and started eating in this interior area was the number of places that serve both chips and rice. That is apparently something that happens up and down the country, although we've only really travelled a little bit, but it is everywhere. Chips and rice. And it's something that we find unusual because it's not the way that we have grown up eating, but it is very typical around here in Portugal. And really it just comes down to, it is one of the most affordable ways to get your energy and lots of carbs so that you can go off and work in the field or do whatever else it is that you need to do for the rest of the day. But we should probably also talk about one of the other dishes that we had, because it's quite unusual and it's quite specific to this area.
So there was a plate with two on it. One is called moranho. And everywhere we've had this, it's slightly different. So it's region specific, but it's effectively a goat's, tripe, lining, stomach, something, casing.
Let's say casing.
Let's say casing. A lovely casing that you don't eat. Well, we don't. With some goat, some ham, some rice, and mint. And it's really nice. And everywhere you go, it's slightly different depending on the spices that they use. And you can get it normally you get it as a main meal, but luckily here we were able to get it as a small starter portion, so we could share it and then still have a main meal. The other one is called what? What's the other one?
Bushu.
Explain the other one for me.
So we had a mixture of moranho and busho, which was the other thing on the plate. It's quite similar, another stuffed casing with a whole range of different meats, pork, ham, chicken. I think there was some egg in there, definitely bread. And it's not as kind of fresh and fragrant because there's no mint, but it was a really nice kind of combination of flavors. There's definitely some spice in there as well. And again, just like the moranho, it's slightly different based on the region that you're in. But yeah, very, very tasty. And I feel like we are now ready to go off on a small hike and show you some more of this beautiful country. So when I said small hike, I think it is quite small.
It's tiny.
Wow. That's amazing.
Have you seen? That's my next project. It's got beachfront access. And no neighbours. But lekker delivery would be very difficult.
It's slightly overlooked as well.
Yeah, a little bit. So let's just talk about the water. At the moment, this is really full. We've had a really, really wet winter. And we were here last year, towards the end of the summer, I think it was. And it was so low. It was the driest summer they've had here for a long time. Drought restrictions and all kinds of things. And it's crazy that in just one season, the water level has been topped up again. It's good to see because I think we might be heading into another very hot summer. It's 28 degrees today and it's April.
I just can't believe how quiet it is up here. All you can hear is birds, bees. There is a barking dog in the distance. I heard somebody dive into the lake a few minutes ago. It's incredibly peaceful. This is why we moved here. So I really hope that that drone footage does this place justice, because it is simply breathtaking, this view. It's so quiet, it's so peaceful, it's so beautiful that I don't think you can really get that full experience just through a screen. You really have to come here and experience it for yourself. And no, we are not sponsored by the Portugal Tourism Board, but it is just, it's an amazing place. And we're so fortunate that we've got all of this on our doorstep. And I think that's a nice way to draw this day to a close. We only have so much touristing in us. But something else that we love about Portugal is its amazing wine. And so to wrap up this small snapshot of what the interior of Portugal is like, we're going to go back in time and show you a visit, or a couple of visits, that we took to one of our favourite local vineyards. We were actually invited along to the launch of their new restaurant, or their new restaurant concept, I guess you could say, which was an amazing afternoon with tons of people out on their roof terrace. The drinks were flowing, the food was delicious, we had a wonderful time. We even met some of you lovely people, and a couple of club members came along as well. And then subsequently we went back when it was a little bit quieter so that we could talk to the owners, eat some more of the food and taste some of their wine. Right, we have arrived at our destination for some more refreshments. This is one of our favourite places. We've been here too many times to count. It is a wonderful little vineyard and restaurant. There's also a hotel here, although we've never stayed in the hotel. It's somewhere that we love to come for special occasions, particularly when family are visiting, but they've recently made some changes to the way they're doing things, particularly in the restaurant, which is a bit more casual, a bit more relaxed, a bit less formal or fancy, and just more approachable. And that is how we like our food and wine, approachable, and lots of it. Do you have something to say? You're just laughing in the background.
I'm laughing in the background. But the most important thing is they have wine, and they have very nice wine. And they even have a beer that I will drink, which I'm not normally a beer drinker. They do a beer made from...
Grapes?
Grapes. I was trying to think, is it just from the skins?
I don't know, we can ask them.
So they make a grape ale.
So normally when we go to places like this, we don't like to take the camera with us because there's usually other people there that haven't consented, and so we don't feel too comfortable filming. And plus, watching someone eat and drink is not always the most visually appealing. But we know the owners here. We've become friends with them over the last few years, and so hopefully we're going to find a little corner of the restaurant where we can sit and chat and eat and drink and actually show you some of that experience. And it's a little bit different, which we always find interesting. So let's go and check it out. I wonder where they get their bark from. What do you have for us this evening?
Well, I've got a grape ale, and the grapes are organic. They are our grapes, and in this case it's from Merlot. But every year it changes with the method we make it, and also with the type of grape we make it. Mm-hmm. It's a fusion between wine and beer.
I would even say that's quite yellow.
It's a matter of tasting our beer every year, because every year it's a new game.
Yeah,
it's a new,
exactly. We have to come back every year.
New chances,
back, right?
You know.
Are you saying we just have to keep drinking?
That's right. That's right.
But yes. Drink responsibly.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Salute. Yes.
I'm not a beer fan, but this is quite refreshing on a summer's day. When we came for the launch, this was really nice on that afternoon.
A lot of women are telling me, I don't like beer, But this one, I kind of like.
Yeah, it's because it's not beer. It's
Because it's not beer, not as
halfway.
beery as...
not as beery as beer. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You can still taste it. It's beer, not
Yeah.
a cider, for example, and not a sparkling wine. But it's very refreshing.
So we've had some beer as a starter. Nice bit of homemade. Is it homemade focaccia?
Yes, yes.
Yes, it's very, very good. And we're now going to quickly move on to some wine. And this is a special wine. It is the first time they've made this, I believe. And it is a naturally sparkling wine called a Pet Nat, or Pétillant Naturel. I think I said that right.
So this is a Pétillant Naturel.
That's
And this is a method before the method of champagne. For the method of champanoise. And before that, they made the wine in such a way that it would continue to yeast in the bottle to create carbon dioxide. And that's exactly what we did. To find out when you have to bottle it, that was like in a lab.
Like
wow.
many
So,
experiments.
and that's why the label is like I'm in a lab.
Is it not just
because you're a bit
of a mad scientist?
That's your interpretation. But anyway, so we bottled in different stages of the fermentation, and actually expecting that some of the bottles would explode.
And
So I kept them very far away, but they didn't.
Oh,
They didn't explode.
Interesting.
But then when I opened the one which I expected to be alright, it took about 15 minutes. I would have the bottle in a bowl and then drink later out of the bowl.
Nothing to waste, right?
Not,
No
nothing was
wasting.
wasted.
I've seen Kylie drink like that.
Yes.
Look at that, it's beautiful.
It looks
I'm
good,
of course talking about you, my love. It's very, very, very fruity.
It is fruity. That's what
It's-
your grape ale smelled like last year.
Mm.
We had a cheeky other glass of sparkling wine made here before we sat down, and this is very, very similar in aroma, but then when you taste it, it's got much more of a fermented funkiness on the finish. It's very, very unusual for many wines to have that kind of taste still in there, but it makes it really interesting and unique and very, very nice indeed.
This one is Merlot, so it's a very soft wine.
So that was a nice way to begin, but we're going to go and find a space inside because it's getting quite cold out here and we are losing light. And we're probably going to wrap this up soon because I'm really hungry and I want some proper dinner. But we are going to first have a quick chat to Sebastian, who is the brainchild behind the new concept that they've got here in the restaurant. So we're going to go and talk to him for a bit and then we're going to eat some of their food.
So we wanted to change things up, make it a bit more accessible, and yeah, we've totally changed the menu. We have a lot of vegan options now. It's still all about slow food. We also make all our drinks in-house now, so we call that slow drinks. We even make our own ginger ale, Sprite, all in a natural way. There's a bit more casual dining, so we have more tapas.
Yeah, we're trying to take Portuguese flavors and just turn them over to a modern dish. One of the examples is we have a fritura republica, which is based on garden fish, which is fried green beans, which is a very traditional dish actually.
Yeah, I love
And we mix that up with green and red peppers and then fry them in a tempura batter.
And then with some hot sriracha sauce, and it's all handmade and fresh. And so basically we're remixing traditional Portuguese food. We're putting Portuguese flavors upside down. For example, ice cream, handmade, made from pastel de nata.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, as much as I would love to keep talking to you guys, that all sounds delicious and I need to go and eat some of it.
My favourite time of day.
So that is where we live. and I hope you enjoyed seeing that as much as we enjoyed all the food and wine that we got to consume as part of making this video. But I think we'll leave it there for now, and we will resume normal programming next week. We'll be back in the house building something for sure, but for now I'll just leave you with some inspirational drone footage and say goodbye for now.
Bye.